Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most epic, high-stakes moral conflicts ever recorded, straight from the ancient text of the Mahabharata. We're looking at a scenario where absolute, unwavering personal truth literally collides head-on with the desperate, immediate survival of a family lineage. It's not just a simple disagreement, it's a massive philosophical battle. Think about what happens when an unstoppable force meets a truly immovable object. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this material today, so let's get right into the heart of the crisis. Okay, let's dive into this and start with our central dilemma. Would you break your ultimate moral code to save your family? Just imagine the one promise you swore you would never, ever break. Got it? Now imagine your mother is standing right in front of you, weeping, telling you that if you don't break that exact promise right now, your entire family line will be permanently extinguished. Everything your ancestors built, just gone. That is the exact nightmare scenario our figures are facing in the text today. It instantly connects this sweeping ancient epic to a deeply personal, supermodern question about where our deepest loyalties actually lie. Part 1. A dynasty in danger. To really grasp this dilemma, we've got to look at the crisis that sets it all off. The scene opens with a grieving mother, Queen Satyavati, staring down the ashes of her family's future. Her son, who the text describes as endued with great energy, has just passed away while still a boy, and tragically, he died childless. Because of this, the celebrated Kuru dynasty faces imminent extinction. The text specifies that the funeral cake, the historical achievements, and the very perpetuation of the virtuous Santanu line are all hanging by a thread. The survival of this entire celebrated lineage now rests completely on the shoulders of just one man, Bhishma. He's the foremost of all wielders of weapons, a man of immense virtue, and literally the last hope for the Kuru race. Realizing he's her only remaining move, the queen turns to him. Part 2. The Queen's Desperate Plea. Faced with total dynastic collapse, this grieving mother proposes a really dramatic, desperate solution to save her family's legacy. She addresses Bhishma, praising his unmatched knowledge of virtue and customs. She's essentially buttering him up, saying he's equal to the greatest sages, before dropping a massive command on him. Here are the exact steps Satyavati orders Bhishma to take. Number 1. Raise offspring on his brother's widows. These widows are the amiable daughters of the ruler of Kasi, and Satyavati commands Bhishma to step in and give them children for the perpetuation of the line. Number 2. Guard virtue against loss. By fulfilling this duty, she argues, he's actually preserving their virtue. And number 3, install yourself on the throne and rule the kingdom. She explicitly warns him, plunge not thy ancestors into hell. In her eyes, if the line ends, the ancestors suffer. So this isn't just a polite request. It's a mother's command, framing these actions as an absolutely vital requirement to protect the family from cosmic ruin. Part 3. The Immovable Vow. But here is where Satyavati's unstoppable force hits a massive brick wall. See, Bhishma is bound by a past pledge he made specifically for Satyavati's benefit a long time ago, a vow concerning the throne and begetting children. So despite his mother's tears, and despite the threat of his ancestors falling into hell, he delivers this epic rejection. I would renounce 3 worlds, the empire of heaven, anything that may be greater than that, but truth I would never renounce. I really want you to feel the magnitude of those words. He's saying, hey, you could offer me dominion over the entire universe, you could offer me heaven itself, and I would throw the whole shebang away before I break my word. His personal code is absolute. It doesn't bend for politics, it doesn't bend for thrones, and as we're about to see, it doesn't even bend for family survival. And this brilliantly illustrates the core philosophical conflict of the text. On one side, we've got Satyavati's definition of virtue, which is the duty to one's ancestors and lineage. It's pragmatic, it's communal, and it is totally focused on the continuation of the family. On the other side, we have Bhishma's virtue, an unbreakable duty to truth and personal vows. It's absolute, it's individual, and it is completely unyielding. Satyavati is essentially saying, break your vow to save our virtue, while Bhishma is saying, keeping my vow is my virtue. They're using the exact same word, but they're speaking 2 completely different moral languages. Part 4. The Laws of Nature. Now, what's really interesting about this is how Bhishma makes sure his mother understands he isn't just being stubborn. He actually elevates his vow of truth to the level of physics. It's fascinating how poetically he constructs this defense. He compares his commitment to the fundamental elements of the universe. Think about it. The earth cannot renounce its scent. Water cannot renounce its moisture. Fire cannot renounce its heat. The sun has its glory, the moon its cooling rays, space its capacity for sound. And right alongside those fundamental laws, he places himself, Bhishma, and truth. He's telling his mother that asking him to break his vow is literally like asking a fire to stop being hot or water to stop being wet. Truth isn't just something he does, it's intrinsic to his very existence as a human being. Honestly, it's a breathtakingly beautiful way to say, absolutely not. But remember, Satyavati is a mother watching her family face extinction. She's miserable, she's weeping, and she fires back, pleading, "Considering this emergency, bear thou the burden." She acknowledges his firmness in truth. In fact, she tells him he has so much energy he could create 3 new worlds if he wanted to. But her counter-argument is entirely based on the present crisis. This is an emergency. She's begging him to use that immense energy and power to act just this once so the lineal link isn't permanently broken. She is basically asking him to make an exception to his universal law because the situation is so incredibly desperate. Part 5. A search for solutions. So, the crucial point is that Bhishma hears his mother's grief, he sees her tears, but he remains entirely steadfast in his own vow. However, he realizes a flat no just isn't going to cut anymore. He has to help her find a way out of this impossible situation without destroying his own soul. Notice how he frames his refusal the second time around. Breach of truth by a Kshatriya is never applauded in our treatises on religion. He grounds his refusal in strict adherence to Kshatriya usage. That's the warrior and ruling class code. He gently warns his mother, "O queen, turn not thy eyes away from virtue. O destroy us not." He's essentially telling her, look, if we panic and abandon our religious treatises just because things are difficult right now, we are going to destroy ourselves in a much deeper, spiritual way than just losing a bloodline. Let's see how this builds to Bhishma's ultimate alternative. He advises her, reflect on what should be done in consultation with learned priests and those that are acquainted with practices allowable in times of emergency and distress. Basically, if the ordinary course of social conduct won't work, don't just ask him to break his sacred vow. Instead, seek a sanctioned religious loophole. Go to the learned priests. Find a practice that the treatises actually allow for times of extreme distress. He validates her emergency, for sure, but he absolutely insists they solve it through established, lawful wisdom, rather than by shattering the foundational truth he's built his entire life upon. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final profound question. Is a true compromise between duty to family and absolute personal truth ever actually possible? We've seen Queen Satyavati's desperate pragmatism clash with Bhishma's unyielding cosmic truth. And we've seen how ancient texts wrestle with the exact same moral complexities we face today when our own personal integrity is tested by a crisis. Can you ever really bend a rule, like fire bending its heat? Or do you have to find a completely different path entirely? It's a fascinating dilemma from the Mahabharata that really forces us to examine our own immovable vows. Thanks so much for joining me on Six Explainer today.